Welcome to Trust and Obey with Chuck Frank. This is a Monday G-Drop entitled Enough is Enough. We're going to be reading today 5 lines from Exodus chapter 19, Israel at Mount Sinai. In the 3rd month after the children of Israel had gone out of the land of Egypt, on the same day, they came to the wilderness of Sinai, for they had departed from Rephidim and had come to the wilderness of Sinai and camped in the wilderness. So Israel camped there before the mountain, Mount Sinai. And Moses went up to God, and the Lord called to him from the mountain, saying, "This you shall say to the house of Jacob, and tell the children of Israel. You have seen what I did to the Egyptians, and how I bore you on eagle's wings and brought you to myself. Now, therefore, if you will indeed obey my voice and keep my covenant, then you shall be a special treasure to me above all people, for all the earth is mine." Simple enough, right? And of course, the nation of Israel promised they would definitely keep the covenant, and they never did and never have, and none of us have. And thankfully, we have a God who continues to forgive, but not forever. So we have to remember that he is constantly watching, and that as he says, if you keep my covenant, then you'll be a special treasure to me. And remember that all the earth is mine. Now let's focus down on the earth to the statement from President Joe Biden regarding the pardon of his son. "Today I signed a pardon for my son Hunter. From the day I took office, I said I would not interfere with the Justice Department's decision-making. And I kept my word, even as I have watched my son being selectively and unfairly prosecuted. Without aggravating factors like use in a crime, multiple purchases, or buying a weapon as a straw purchaser, people are almost never brought to trial on felony charges solely for how they filled out a gun form. Those who were late paying their taxes because of serious addictions, but paid them back subsequently with interest and penalties, are typically given non-criminal resolutions. It is clear that Hunter was treated differently. The charges in his cases came about only after several of my political opponents in Congress instigated them to attack me and oppose my election. Then, a carefully negotiated plea deal, agreed to by the Department of Justice, unraveled in the courtroom, with a number of my political opponents in Congress taking credit for bringing political pressure on the process. Had the plea deal held, it would have been a fair, reasonable resolution of Hunter's cases. No reasonable person who looks at the facts of Hunter's cases can reach any other conclusion than Hunter was singled out only because he is my son, and that is wrong. There has been an effort to break Hunter, who has been 5.5 years sober, even in the face of unrelenting attacks and selective prosecution. In trying to break Hunter, they've tried to break me, and there's no reason to believe it will stop here. Enough is enough. Well, I couldn't agree with the president more. Enough is enough. And today has been inspiring to see the newfound reverence for the rule of law from the legacy media and Democratic politicians peacocking and primping in front of the camera and pointing at their fearless leader, Joseph Biden, for standing for the rule of law and not exercising his ability to totally pardon his son because he is a stalwart believer in the rule of law being the anchor of our constitutional republic. So any conversations about weaponized DOJ, they have to be erased from the board because Joe Biden is standing for the rule of law. 51 intel leaders deciding collectively that the laptop from hell was Russian disinformation. That hardly even needs review. What about the J6 committee in concert with the FBI and the single-tiered Department of Justice? How about the J6 pipe bomber cover-up? How about the obvious weaponization of the DOJ? How about Trump lawfare? How about the Ukraine laundry operation? And let's not forget Big Pharma and their death shot payoffs to all our political leaders. And then that's both sides of the aisle. So let's not forget the rhinos led by the McConnell deep pockets cabal. They have plans for the new government coming in, that they will control the Senate and therefore strangle every Trump policy in the crib before it has a chance to be voted on. So, what can be said for all of these people who are standing firmly today with reverence for the rule of law and the leadership of Joseph Biden? Well, for me, I am tremendously edified by this because now I know that we can look over the next 2 years and expect absolute and full cooperation from the Democrats and the legacy media who revere, absolutely and utterly revere the rule of law and a single-tiered justice system. And regarding the rhinos, well, I think Mitch McConnell knows in his heart that a people who revere the rule of law and a single-tier justice system will all want to know how a country boy from Kentucky could marry into one of the most powerful Chinese Communist Party families and go from a bag of clothing to a $500 million fortune that may be worth, depending on how things go with Ukraine over the next few months, possibly up to $1 billion. Who knows? I'm sure everyone will want to see some forensic accounting of what's gone on just in that family. And if everyone enjoys seeing the rule of law practiced and a single-tier justice system, then I'm sure other politicians will volunteer to a forensic accounting of how you become a politician in Washington and become fantastically wealthy, while at the same time voting against the interests of the American people. So President Biden said it well. Enough is enough. And we, as voting Americans, believe enough is definitely enough. Thanks for listening.